My name is Genique Middleton and this is BlackExcellence.
Can you tell us your name and what you do?
So my name is Genique Middleton. I'm a secondary school English teacher and a fine artist.
Can you tell us your background and how you've progressed in your career to become an English teacher, and where has fine art come from?
So I've always had a passion for art, so even from probably I was about 4 or 5, I was always drawing, so that was my main passion, and throughout my education I've always chosen art as a subject, so even at college level and at university I went and did architecture, which was sort of me bringing in my art, and then I decided this isn't for me, which then led me down the route of going into English, so I did that as my degree. And then I came out and sort of started doing work experience rather than going straight into a job. Then I realised I had a passion for sort of young people, which led me to teaching. But at the same time, I wanted to pursue my art, so I've been doing that on the side, sort of a side business, and just kept going with it, and it's just flourished more recently.
I've seen a lot of your artworks and some of your video clips on your expression of the art you do, like your pictures on I Get Out,
Yeah.
One you did on breast cancer, and others on Do Not Dim the Light, or
Yeah.
No One Can Dim Your Light. How do you manage that day to day? What is it like being a fine artist on a regular day-to-day basis, and how are you managing that with your career as being an English teacher?
I know people sort of overuse the phrase creative, but as a creative I feel like it's everything I am. So even when I'm in the classroom, that's how I decorate my classroom, or even the way I interact with children, I use my art in the classroom as well. So I don't feel like there's a separation between the two. But for me, I just think how I define art is freedom, and when I'm doing my art I feel free. So even if it's at night time that I'm painting after I finish marking, they're the pockets that I find to actually do my creative stuff. And on the weekends or when I'm off from work in the sort of school holidays is when I find time to paint and just be free and be myself.
And how has the work you do with fine arts, how has that impacted in the past, other people, especially the young people?
I've had an exhibition, so my first exhibition was in Brick Lane. That was 2017 to November 2017, and even a lot of my students who'd graduated, so they'd finished school and they're in university, they came. So even just seeing them being inspired by the artwork, and a lot of the art was sort of about culture, so like my background, faith, hope, and just even the realities of what were taking place. So you mentioned the breast cancer painting, but that was because my sister was going through chemotherapy at the time, so I painted that for her. So even one of my youth at the time, their mum had been going through cancer, so just hearing them being impacted by just a painting and just being able to have open conversations. So I think that's how the work's impacted people. It's created pockets for conversation, and perhaps we would never have even had those conversations had it not have been for the artwork placed on the walls.
And what would you say has inspired you, through this journey of being a fine artist and expressing your creativity?
I'd say God. I think before I knew God, it was just something I did in my free time if I sort of had the time. Whereas once I came to know Christ, that's what influenced me, and the passion's never stopped now, and there's always new ideas come in and flow in, and even just stuff that's happening in the world like social justice that will impact me. Then from that I'll get a creative idea which will make me want to paint for that, or an injustice I see, or perhaps sadness. So the last project I did was about mental health and sort of how we as people interact with that. So that was an inspiration again. I think that wasn't from myself, that definitely was from God. So I think that's where my inspiration comes from.
If you were to describe some challenges that you faced being a young black woman in the UK, and how you've overcome those challenges, how would you, put that in words for, young people who may be facing something similar?
I think it's harder as a black woman because I was having this discussion yesterday. As a black man, you may be, or a young black male, you may be stopped and searched, and you sort of face racism in that way. Whereas I think as a woman, it's less overt, and it's even in perhaps you go into an interview and they're not, well, especially with my name, they don't expect me to be black. So they say, oh, I wasn't expecting you. And they never finish the sentence, but it's sort of, oh, I wasn't expecting you to be black because you've got the name Genique Middleton. We probably thought you were French or something. Or even when it comes to sort of applying for certain roles, a male would get it before you. So it's not so much that just you're black, it's that you're also a female. And I think that's the complexities of it. And even in my retail job when I was about 17, 18, a manager said to me, oh, we don't, it's actually laughable. I don't usually hire black people because they're lazy and they're always late. And at the time I just laughed it off and thought, well, I'm working here, it's fine. But as I've got older, I've realised that that's an opinion a lot of people have. They have these sort of stereotypes or ideas that they think of you, even if that's not the case, or that you're angry. And I think that's the other one with sort of being a black woman, is you're angry. And it's like, no, actually what's happened is not okay. And that's why you're standing up for it. It's not that I'm being an angry black woman. It's actually just wrong, or there's an injustice in this situation. So I think that's how it is as a woman, a black woman, I'd say, for me.
And if you were to give advice to, you know, a young black male, female, you know, watching this today and thinking, you know, how can I be very successful in the UK, bearing in mind some of these challenges, what advice would you give to that person watching?
I think persevere. There's always going to be challenges, regardless of if you were black or not. There will be challenges, whether that's your family, background, anything. There's going to be a challenge, whether it's even money or finances, but you've just got to persevere. And I think my saying in life is just dare to dream and always stay true to you. And you've got to dream, and whatever that dream looks like, whether that's being an artist, whether that's being the best in finance, whether that's been, I don't know, just being a kind person, you've got to dream big and then chase after those dreams. And you are your biggest limitation, and you've got to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, it won't happen. So obviously, and also I think the other thing is surround yourself with people who are going to push you forward and always encourage you, even when you don't believe in yourself.
So one question, off the record question. Banksy, where do you rate Banksy?
I think he's phenomenal. Because I like quite quirky art. I know it sounds weird, but I hate boring art, because people are like, oh, let's go to an exhibition or let's walk around in, and I'm just like, no, I don't want to go to a gallery. That's not what I enjoy doing. But I think his art evokes conversation, and whether there's one of his paintings and it's the peace sign, and then there's a child next to it. I can't remember exactly how it's set up, but whenever you look at his artwork, you want to respond. And whether that's, oh, did you see it, or did you understand what that meant? And even he did Stormzy's sort of his bulletproof vest with the England flag, and people were like, whoa, Banksy did it. But again, that evoked more conversation because he could have got any artist to do it. So I think he's phenomenal. And the mysteriousness, obviously, of not knowing who he is, I think that's beautiful as well, because you only look at the art. You don't know if he's white, black, tall, short, female. Well, obviously we know he's a male, but do you know what I mean? It's just ambiguous, and I love that.